Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to my press conference for this week. And well, this week was all about one man, Paddy Dangerfield, scoring 240 or whatever he scored. It was unbelievable. And if you don't have him, if you didn't have his captain, good luck scoring well. I think anyone who was in the top 10% would have had him as skipper. So therefore, I think as a side that doesn't have him, and obviously didn't have him as double points, to come in the 11%, top 11% with a score of 2,403, I'm relatively happy with. We'll have a look at my side in a second and we'll run through that. Obviously burst into the top 20,000, which was nice, coming up a little bit. Starting to get a little bit concerned with the trade scenario. I mean, when you get 12 and Nick Nat goes down, that's one of those things that you start to get a little frustrated with and you cut it fine, but I'll be sticking to the plans nonetheless. Crossing over to my side here, the back line was pretty good, of course. Shaw, Simpson, Bartel, Birchall and Rich were all good. And McVeigh is, I don't know what he's doing. I'd love to watch him play and actually see what's happening. He's just not scoring well. He was moved forward, I saw, at some stage. So disappointing, but, you know, I've made the trade. I'll look to get Rance in at some point soon. You know, such is life. Pendlebury was great. Selwood I did the old loophole with his 141, which of course, you know, I basically lost 210 points or whatever it was, you know, on the top end field. It's about as good as you can do, a 140 normally. I mean, you'd be always happy with that, but when a guy in the same game gets 240 odd, immediately with the captain situation, I'm already 200 points behind, which is why I'm somewhat happy with the starting team. That's alright. Abbott was great. Shield, one of his quieter ones, but nothing to sneeze at. Libba was great. Pritis another ton, as did Gray. And Josh Smith was poor. Watching the game, I thought he was okay. Perhaps handballed a little too much. As you can see there, Gawn getting emergency loophole in there, using the captain loophole to get Selwood's 141. Nick Nat scored 89, but of course he's gone in for surgery on that Achilles. It's been struggling with him for a little bit, and of course they've bit the bullet there, and of course looking to have him prime and fit for finals if the Eagles are to make it. They're taking a bit of a risk there, but it doesn't help us in Supercoach land. He's got to go. Fortunately, Goldstein will be dropping in price, but the question is, will I have enough players to have that luxury to cop a Nick Nat 0? I'll have a look at that in a second and probably do that live, I suppose, because I haven't really looked. Deledio good, as was Montagna. Franklin quiet, Lid's good, Petrarca great, Kerridge very serviceable, good. Which equated to a pretty handy score. My main concern is this bench. Look at Collins 39, Lee 14, Keys 23. Jaden Hunt 45. It's absolute crap, to be honest. I mean, that is really frustrating. I know most people probably focus on the scores on the field, but those sort of things on the bench just grind my gears. It really frustrates me because you know it's going to be difficult to find cash in the future weeks. You know, Keys, just an absolute pile there. 23 is disgraceful. Lee was injured, going bad anyway. Collins I'll wear because he's been pretty handy so far. Jaden Hunt is just plateaued with his average of anywhere from 45 to 50, so he's not going very well. You know, you'd think Hall would come back in after the bye, so I guess that does mean Petrarca is technically on my bench, which is not too bad. But yeah, so look, overall happy with the side. I'll just take a look at the leagues first, and then we'll run through a bit of a bye situation for Shorty. Let's have a look. Yeah, of course, no shame in losing to a guy who scores 2,614. I mean, of course, I was always going to be behind the 8 ball somewhat without Dangerfield, who I, for the record, am looking to get in this week. I thought about bringing him in this week, you know, the things you do, and Selwood had a break even of 77, Dangerfield's about 115. You're like, oh, you know, look, odds are, that's what I always say, you know, try and predict and play the odds percentages, and sometimes we get these crazy games where it just throws your plans out, and I'll probably still be able to get him, and the 3 trades with the buys helps me. I can downgrade, upgrade, and potentially work things out with Nick Nat. We'll just have to see. But yeah, well done to to Pavlich FC there. I'm in desperate need of having a win in my league, that's for sure. I'm sitting there at 12th. But as you can also see, there's a lot of guys on 20 points from 6th to 11th, then 22. Of course, Garlic's best 22 is equally struggling a little bit because I continually seem to be a game behind him. So, yeah, a bit of distance up the top there. Clayton, Bars, Wallbangers. So, while I'm here, I know a few guys requested some of Shorty's SuperCoach leagues to have a bit of a look at, so I'll quickly do that as well. I won't do the visual side of things. Times are a little busy at the moment of preparation for my new job and doing a few other things here and there. A bit of socialising before I go to Ballarat for a little bit, so, excuse if the visuals aren't there, but I'll stick to the normal. But of course I'll read them out. And Shorty SuperCoach 1, Bash's boys are on top. He's got a nice record of 8-2. Followed by Tiger Army and Superstars are a game behind, as is notorious PIG, the Pig. If we go to total points, Basher Boys, fair enough, he is on top and relatively comfortably, 170 odd points cleared. Wild Hawks, so some good scorers happening there. In my second league, if this decides to load, it'd be handy when you're working live. We'll go to Shorty SuperCoach 3 then. I'm on top actually, there you go. I haven't lost yet in that one. It's not a disrespect thing, I just don't check my leagues too often. I focus more so on getting my team right and the league results come as they may. But yeah, I'm 2 games clear there of Chronos and Witty's winners. If we go to the total points, Chronos is in fact on top, a couple of 100 points clear of Tommy G. And Remember the Days is coming third, just pipping me. So if we pop over to that second one, which is now loaded, Baggers is on top. I reckon he's been on top for some time, edging out the big D's. They're on even points with 6% separating them. Is There Any Danger is in third. And crossing over to the total points, Celtic Power is on top in that regard, having a pretty good season. Baggers, of course, is there, no surprise. Class on the Grass is third. So that's a bit of a wrap of some of the leagues, and hopefully a few of you guys have they've given a mention, are watching on, because that's always a bit of fun. Now if we go over to my side, I'll see if I can work on the run here, guys. I also won't do the visual for this. It's something I'll probably talk about more so later in the weekly preview. But if we just have a sneaky peek at what I can do, of course I could go Simpson has the bye. I'll bring in Collins. No zeros in the back line. Heads up, the forward line is where the problem is. Keys, providing he keeps his spot, can come in for, say, Josh Smith. Now there we go. So I'll also think I'll probably trade down Hewitt to someone who's playing. So then I would say swap him for Pendlebury, and that would give me 1-0 in there with Ablett by the looks of it. Yeah, looks about right. And Gorn and Nick Nat don't have the bye, but of course Nick Nat will be out. So we'll count that as my second 0 on the field. Bearing in mind, you can of course only need 18 scorers. It is an advantage if you can have more. That's one thing I'll touch on the weekly preview. Definitely, if you can get 20 players playing, your worst 2 scores will be cancelled out, which can give you an even better score. But just focus on getting the 18. And here's where the problem is. Aaron Hall, of course, is still out. Now, Jaden Hunt, let's hope he is in. We'll see later in the week. I'll take him off for, say, Deledio. And then, as I was saying in one of the comments, Kerridge, I'll look to... so I'm looking to probably swap out Hewitt for a mid-forward. There are a couple of those guys floating around. Sam Reid from the Giants is one that comes to mind. Can then swap he and Kerridge, and then I can go Kerridge to Dangerfield. And that would leave me with 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So that's providing Keys is named and Hunt is named, and there's no awkward surprises otherwise. So I'm cutting it fine this time around. I would like to think that hopefully that forward line's really where my troubles are. I might need to bite that bullet on Goldie, but a part of me doesn't want to, because I think his break even is about 160 or something like that, and he's also a little sore at the moment, I feel. So I probably don't want to be bringing him in. Also considering, if you're going to do something like that for a premium, you'd rather get him in after his bye. So, his bye is, he's got the last bye, so, and he shares it with, no, he doesn't share it with Gawn. So, probably going to have a ruckman out for most of the buys. Looking at it now, Nick Nat might be out now. Goldstein drops a little bit. Then Gawn has the bye. Yeah, Gawn has the bye. Then you probably get Goldstein after the break. So, yeah, now I'm just thinking on the run, really. I'll probably, he's an insight to how Shorty thinks about SuperCoach, just, trying to do it on the run and racking his brain about how he's going to do that. But I'll probably think about it throughout the week. At this stage, I've got 18 players, so, that's all well and good. A bit to come through. I'll talk about it in the weekend preview and as teams come through and everything like that. But, I'll discuss a few trade options and things like that. So thanks for sticking around, guys. That's a bit of an insight to my side for the weekend, and a bit of live super coaching with swapping around my side and just seeing how it is going. As I said, I've been pretty busy. I haven't looked at the super coach too much, so that literally was the first time I've had a real genuine look about how my side's going to line up for the buys. And it's coming along reasonably well. If you haven't heard me say it before, I don't really plan my trades with any consideration to the buys. I'd much rather, get the best player available in and let the rest look after itself. I think if you're a decent enough side and you've, traded well, you'll have enough players to pick from anyway, unless you're just unbelievably unlucky and they all fall on one buy, and therefore, you might take a little bit of consideration. But I think your everyday super coaches should avoid these rounds if they're any good. So I think, fingers crossed, there's no awkward selections later in the week and everything goes to plan and guys are named, and we'll, happy days from there on out. But we'll see while that turns up on the Thursday. Hopefully have the press, the weekend preview, on Thursday night, hopefully. But if not, it will definitely be on the Friday. So there you go, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Give me your thoughts. Let me know how you went as well. Always enjoy hearing how people go and everything like that. So if you enjoy what I'm doing as well, certainly give the channel a subscribe if you haven't already. If you watch it every time but haven't subscribed, I really appreciate it if you do, because, it's great to see that number ticking over. And, certainly it's nice to see that a few people actually listen to what I have to say, which is good to hear. So thanks again, guys. Stay tuned for the weekend preview later in the week, and I'll chat to you then.